What's up, card fighters? Today I bring you a special deck profile with my buddy John. It is a Magnolia premium deck, so let's see what he has working with here.
Hey everybody. Yeah, so like Duke said, it is a Magnolia Colony deck profile. So I'll make this short and sweet for everybody and then give explanations as needed for card choice. So starting off with Zero's V-Starter Red OT. So you could pretty much essentially choose your Storkeo one, or if you want, you can choose the blue one. God forgive me, I don't remember their names off the top of my head. But I like the red one the most simply because of the fact that this is a multi-attacking deck, so you want to be able to push as much aggression out as possible. So being able to see anywhere from 4 to 6 attacks under Gridora, but then if you rip the OT, it goes from 6 to 7, so it's really nice. And then, you know, looking at 100 million twice is kind of nuts. So it's 7 crit, 4 draw, for the Stride Enablers, and then for the Dark Face into the Soul Draw cards. It works with your grade 3 Dark Face, and it also works with your Gridora Stride, and then damage checking it, it's just another draw trigger, so it's like you're playing 7 draws in the deck, which is super needed for this deck because you do need a lot of hand, a lot of soul, a lot of resources. 4 draw triggers. I do not play the Order PG. Room is super tight in this build, so I'd rather just max out on 4 draw triggers and just call it a day. And then your 4 heal guarding, or your grade 3 heals. I don't do the 2-2 split. Just in the deck doesn't really counterblast a lot. There's not a lot of cards in the main deck that counterblast for you to need the soul charges for anything, or the counter charges for anything. So I'd rather just max out and see a grade 3, and then if I have to ride out of anything, or if this is my only grade 3 to ride and you don't see your Magnolia in the build, and still fine, you can get away with it. So that's it for the trigger lineup. Going into your grade 1s, I do a 3-1 split of G Dorcas and V Dorcas. If you see this, yes, we are playing Dark Face grade 3, so you definitely want to be able to circle, get that out if it's needed, if you're going first, so that way you can go ahead and go into your superior shred and get your protect markers, and just being able to see GB2 early is really beneficial. And then grade 3 searchers for anything, just for consistency and gaining power. It's all about like gaining 5Ks and 10Ks whenever you can, so you know, being able to see these on the board is really nice. Going into your other grade 1s, you definitely play 3 High Class Moth. High Class Moth, good counter charger, good target for Malajantis, and it does set up soul, or does set up combo plays going into like your Ghidorah turns, which is really nice. And then being able to stun rearguard from intercepting is also really good as well. Your 2 of choices from here on out, 2 Dianthas, because the majority of the deck does not require you to call from hand. It's really just on place. So being able to, you know, just bounce back anything instead of like using a resource from hand, or calling something from the drop zone, is just really good. And then being able to get the 5K boost does make a difference. This was a last minute tech. I am playing 2 Brilliant Blisters. It's really just for defensive turns. It's a pseudo perfect guard, I guess. And then it's a good call for, you know, going first. So that way you can go ahead and get that additional draw, so that way you can see either more cards that you need in your hand, or, you know, another right target, whatever the case may be. Just being able to get that 1 in hand for the Soul Blast is really good. Again, you want to be able to save resources from your hand as much as possible, so that way you can just really work on guarding for the following turn, since you are vomiting so much. So you play the 2 Spiritual Bodies, just to be able to, you know, if you need like another unit to swing from the back row and it's in the drop zone, whatever the case may be, getting 5K buffs across the board again, anywhere you can, really good. So 2 Spiritual Bodies, and that wraps up for the grade 1s. Going into the grade 2s, 4 Dominarus. This is essentially the heart and soul of the deck. Soul lasts 1. Choose any unit in the back row. It gets 5 grand, and you can attack from the back row. And then if it's targeted by a Magnolia skill, it gets 5 grand itself. You don't ever really worry about like it gaining 5,000 power off of its effect. You only want to be able to target units to be able to swing from the back row. So that way you can go ahead and get your full multi-attacks that way. Because if you're not going Persona Ride and then going into Magnolia's effect, this is essentially the only way that you are going to be able to attack from the back row, which is the reason why you have so many cards that bounce things back from the drop zone, because like you can use it as a cost for like Malajantis, suck it into the soul, then use the spiritual body, bring it back out, and then call it, and then, you know, essentially just recycle the effect from there to target something else in the back row as well. But yeah, again, if you're not using Magnolia's skill to attack, to have units attack from the back row, this is your only other way. So you want to be able to max out on this and, you know, keep it in rotation as much as possible. Yeah, so the 4 Dominarus, your main your main back row target is 4 Sweet Cocktails. This card is just really good all across the board. On ride, attacking in the front row, guarding, attacking anywhere on the board, essentially. This card is insane. So when you guard with it, pay costs. If your opponent has a standing rear guard, they can choose to retire it. If they don't, your entire front row gets 5k, and you draw a card. So like ideally you put this one, essentially you'll put this behind a Vanguard. Like this is like the main combo line. So like you'll put this in the front row, put this in the back row, put the Sweet Cocktail in the back row, and then target it. So that way on your swing from the back row, pay cost in your front row gets the 5 grand before Vanguard swings, which is like really, really nice. And then if they're underpowered for Malajantis' skill before you go into the battle phase, it just makes it that much better. But yeah, overall, really good card. You want to be able to see this as much as possible for whatever purpose. And then it's, yeah, it's pretty much like the MVP of the deck. Keeps your hand alive, essentially. Other good cards to play in the deck for back row and front row. We are playing 3 Armor Beetles. It's just a really good card to stop like boosting and, you know, for back row units and things of that nature. Then, you know, specific, you know, targeting cards to stun, to gain power, things of that nature. There's been combo lines where you can call one on the right side, or, you know, one in one column and then one in another column, and then you can use one of them to rest the other, so that way you get double lockouts in both columns, and the first one winds up gaining the 6 grand, which is really, really nice. It has come in clutch a couple of times. So yeah, this is a really good tech choice. There's a couple of other grade 2 options that you can do, but if you're looking for like solidified lockouts, so that way you're like guaranteed Mali plays, you need to hit like the 1s or 2s before you can go into Malajantis. Yeah, the Armor Beetle is like your best bet. And then the last grade 2s are the Goygoats. Goygoats are another good card to attack from the back row behind a Vanguard. On swing, gains power, and then kills itself to draw a card. And then when you ride Magnolia, only when you ride Magnolia, if this card's in the drop zone, it's a free soul. As you can see, a lot of the grade 2 units and a lot of cards in the deck in general do require a lot of soul. So just being able to ride Magnolia, and then if this is in the drop zone, just gain another soul for whatever case. It's really, really good, and it's really strong. So definitely recommend playing 2. You can try it at 1, but the thing is, if you damage check it, there's the only way to get it into the drop zone is just by recovering it, and I just much rather see the second one and at play at all times before, you know, having to go into that. So going into your grade 3s, MVP of the deck, Magnolia. I guarantee you, unless you are at like the edge of the game, you will never use its actual skill to swing from the back row. It's pretty much just a name, so that way you can proc off your Dominarus. The only way that you're going to gain full benefits off of this is when you do the Persona ride and you decide to, have your entire back row attack from the back row. But that's pretty much about it. Otherwise than that, it's realistically just a name, so that way you can go ahead and get all of your other skills for your other units. Going into the other good ride of the deck is Darkface. So this deck has had a problem for the longest of going first. So with History Collection being a thing, Darkface kind of saves it, because you gain cards, whether it be Protect 1 or Protect 2, and it turns you GB2s on. And just having that availability just to stride first, just to gain the cards. Even if you don't call a board, calling a board would be nice, but like you don't want to sit on this for long. But like even if you don't call a board, getting those Protect 1 markers to hand, if you don't have like your draw perfect guards and like there's like a big combo rush coming up, it's always going to be really, really nice. And then you have other cards, you have your Darkface crits. So that way you can push the 4 souls, so that way if you do need to activate the Soul Blast 2 skill for Darkface, it's online. But yeah, it's kind of like an oh crap button, just in case you don't see Magnolias. This is another good ride target. And you can still do like your other combos with Sweet Cocktail and Armor Beetle on top of that. It doesn't necessarily lock out your entire Grade 2 engine. It hurts if you sit on this for more than like 2 turns, but other than that, like it's pretty much just to get everything else, get other resources essentially. Then the last Grade 3 of the deck is Helldemize. Helldemize essentially enables your 6 attack Ghidorah turns. And this card is just absolutely insane. So like on your Ghidorah swing, you'll call it out. Like you'll do your rear guard attacks first after you set up like your full boards. So like you'll do Sweet Cocktail behind the Vanguard. You'll swing that, draw a card, front row gets 5. Do your main do your rear guard that you're gonna sack off to call over for the Helldemize. Swing that column, swing Vanguard, and then Ghidorah skill, call out the Helldemize in the other column, and then Helldemize is going to come in. If it's under Persona, it'll get the 10,000, and then it'll get the other 10,000 from the Ghidorah, and then you can restand the Sweet Cocktail again behind the Vanguard, so that way you can swing that, and then get another +1. So you'll essentially go 5 cards in hand, 3 from Twin Drive, and then 2 from the Sweet Cocktail behind the Vanguard, so that one of your units is going to gain 10 grand, and then the Helldemize gains 25 that turn. So this card is really, really strong. When you need to go into your Ghidorah push and this is in your drop zone, you want to 100% always have a high class Moth available, so that way you could bounce it to the bottom of the deck, so that way you get the full Ghidorah combo. So that's it for the main deck. Going into the G zone. Contrary to belief, you do not need to play 4 Ghidorah in this format. 4 Ghidorah is 100% like a good safe option, but like if you know your matchups, you don't need 4. There's like slim to like 0. There's a very small chance that you're gonna need all 4 in one game, especially in like a best of 1 format. So like usually by the second Ghidorah, if your opponent's not already like they're on the verge of like losing this game significantly, so the third one is just like a guarantee, like it's gonna go into your favor. So rather than playing the 4 Ghidorahs, I'm actually choosing to play the 3 Maladrantis. Maladrantis is a good card to ride in general, or it's just your main flip fodder, so that way you can like do its skill in G zone and either countercharge and draw 1, or just neg your opponent by 10 grand. And that 10 grand is so important in this build, especially since you're only getting like 5k buffs from everything across the board. So you want to be able to have like at least 1 to 2 Maladrantis available to you at like all times. Set this up as quick as you can. It does come in clutch, especially under the Ghidorah turns, when their hand is their lifeline, and being able to being able to neg them on top of like persona rides and then like your 5Ks here and there, like the small buffs add a difference. And then, you know, when they're at a 3K or a 2K base or even in a negative K base, like this card is just, it's really, really good for the clan. So yeah, 3 Malajantis. I was playing 3 Overwhelm. I decided to play 2. The Overwhelm is really nice for when you know you're going into those matchups where you don't need to rely on the Ghidorah that much. So like you can go into this and gain a lot of power, draw the combo cards that you need for however many rested units your opponent your opponent has. And then the GB3 skill, giving 2k for everything counterblasted in your opponent's board, or you know, in your opponent's damage zone, that's also really, really good. Just applies good pressure. In testing, 3 was always a solid number, but 2 is just you'll never need the third one. You can always go into something else like a Mali, and then just, you know, set up your 2 from there. You know, your double flips from there, and, you know, keep negging your opponent. But yeah, I mean, it comes in clutch when you need to draw on the resources. And, you know, if anybody plays this clan, you know, like how we've been testing, you're gonna always need resources. So being able to have this online is just really solid. So yeah, 2 Overwhelm. The Jaggy Devils, you need to play 2. Again, if you're going first, having availability to that Dark Face and just going into this, super solid. Get you protect markers, get you your stuns if there's anything on the board, and then your Dark Face stuns to hopefully draw into more cards. I mean, there's not much more you can really ask for that. And then the most expensive card that you never really go into unless you're playing against League Joker, Harmonix Messiah. I don't know why this card is this. It's good, but oh my god, the price tag on it is just ridiculous. But yeah, you need to play the 1 Harmonix Messiah. Getting your 20k guard for free, super solid. Another flip fodder card, and yeah, there's really not much to say about this thing. Going into your G cards, 2 Crew Weeble, because it's the best G guard that we have available. You know, just free defensive shield. 9 times out of 10, your opponent doesn't really want to rest anything anyways, unless they can like absolutely afford it. But again, with the negs from Malajantis, you're asking for more in hand. It's like you're gaining triggers the more Malajantis you do, without actually gaining the triggers, if that makes sense. So yeah, 2 Crew Weeble, 1 Feather Wall. These are like the 3 free ones. Then you have the 1 Relish Lady. It's a good card. You need to play it, but the chances of this going off are slim to none. So like, you need it just in case you do have that opportunity and you need the soul. It's there, and if they pay cost, it's really good. And then my personal favorite of the deck is Dry Swords, because this card is just absolutely insane. It sucks that it's only locked to Vanguard, but like, when this thing goes off, nobody usually expects it. So, yeah, just being able to drop this and then just like rest your opponent's back row, and then like gaining the shield for whatever, it's just really good. Like you need to play these 2 100% in like every Mega Colony build. So yeah, that's the G zone. Then blah 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 blah. Free markers, whatever the case may be. Oh yeah, you need the Cradle marker just in case you ride Sweet Cocktail. Don't forget that. Yeah, so that's pretty much the deck. Any questions, good sir?
I got my ass beat down enough from this shit as it already is.
Yeah, so guys have any questions, please feel free to, you know, leave them in the comment section, whatever the case may be. Dude, thank you for giving me the opportunity to show this off. I know we've put a lot of fine testing into it, and oh yeah, thank you for supporting all of my SPs, because I would have been like, I probably would have taken out like at least a portion of my 401k to try to get all of the SPs. So yeah, that kind of works out. So yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to show it.
Of course, anytime. And then, you know, there's always updates and all that down the line, and any other deck you decide to tinker with.
Yeah, I got another build coming up with this, or at least an updated build. But I'm bad at the game and just don't have the time to actually play it and test out how I want it to. But we'll figure it out along the line.
Well, I mean, we both got different builds for that specific deck.
God, this client sucks.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. Until next time, everybody stay safe out there. Bye-bye.